Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. This is episode 3 of the 2018 football season. I am Dan, and as usual, I am joined by Jack and Shane. And tonight, we are going to celebrate the Air Force win, go over the game a little bit, kind of tell Owl Nation we told you so, not to panic too much because things worked out well. Had a career day from Chris Robison, and kind of get into some other topics that are worth it in FAU football, Owl Nation. So I guess to get started, my biggest takeaway from the game was that the sky's not falling. It was nice to see us rebound and really get into our office and do the things offense and do the things that we really wanted to do. And coaches didn't panic, players didn't panic after a pretty abysmal showing at Oklahoma. But like we discussed last week, Oklahoma is probably one of the best, if not the best teams that we have ever played as a program. So that was a tough barometer. But it was nice to see us get back into what we know. Excuse me. Nice to see some of the new guys. Javon Durant, just absolutely a monster. So that was, I guess, we'll start from there, and then we can go from there. So I don't know what are some of the things that stuck out to you guys.
Chris Robinson's a big boy talent. I mean, he made elite throws. It's why they've been pushing him. I almost think in a weird way the OU thing was almost the perfect thing that kind of needed to happen to him and just get that out of the way, because everything after that, school that kicked you out is, it's going to be a lot more easy. There was like the long throws and the pitches and stuff, but, there was a throw. I rewatched the game the other night it was actually right before the fumble. It was a 3rd and 15. Yep. And Javon Durant ran a deep dig route. In his own coverage, and he's just stepped up in the pocket and just ripped a great throw, and kind of in between 3 defenders. We haven't seen that in
ever
10 years. Yeah, maybe a little bit with Rusty Smith, but that was it had a different velocity on it. The players that Lane brings in, these guys that were at these top schools, these top recruits, continue to perform. Like they tend to do. Javon Durant looked bigger and faster than everyone else.
Nobody at Conference USA is going to be able to cover Durant.
No. Especially in man coverage and stuff the way they're playing. I know there were some on the board, people worried about the O-line, but, they were running the outside pass sweeps. They were getting some yards on that, and I thought they blocked that well. I thought the receivers blocked well on that. I mean, Air Force was selling out to stop Motor, and then he still had 2 long runs. One was called back, which the second one was, I rewatched it. I guess it was holding, but, I've seen worse not called. So, I mean, and everything else is very just they can clean up. They just experience. The fumble seemed like was with Kareth White. It was just, quarterback thought he was giving the ball. The running back thought he was taking it. So, just those little things I think could be cleaned up, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, Kareth White was credited with that fumble, which I thought was interesting instead of Robeson. I really hope those jet sweeps and those quick screens outside really make it possible for Motor to get going later in the season. I'm a bit concerned with how one-dimensional we've become. Granted, those jet sweeps are basically runs that open up the outside, but Motor's going to have to get going, man. The offensive line's going to have to do a better job of giving him some protection, because I feel like every single time he touches the ball, there's 1 or 2 defenders that's meeting him in front of the line of scrimmage, and it's concerning.
But Jeff Driscoll's not the quarterback, so it's fine then. Load the box.
Eventually it would open up.
Yeah, other teams are watching that on film going, oh, okay.
Yeah. Once they respect our downfield play, that jet sweep, have to cover everything on the outside, then things open up for Motor. I just hope it happens sooner rather than later, especially going into Orlando in a couple weeks and then Conference USA play afterwards.
Well,
go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I also think, there's a little bit – I don't think there's a single person in Air Force secondary that had the physical ability to run with us. I think Lane said in the press conference, we were just going to use our speed. We weren't going to – Air Force is a team that sees the triple option, so they're kind of used to that read option, ground and pound. They're playing that. And I think our thing was we're just going to run past them. We're going to just keep going around the end. That's what it looked like. They were just faster, Willie Wright, all those guys. And – we talk about the running game. If that last one doesn't get called back for holding, we're not talking about a bad Motor Singletary game. We're talking probably just over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So,
you would have had not 150, like 110 if that one went in. I think it was like a 70-yard run, something like that.
Yeah.
But also, I think, Lane Lane is going to keep calling the plays that work. Like last year, we kept calling runs because it'd be 3rd and 11 and Motor would bust out a 15-yard run, so those are the things that kept working last year. So we kept doing it. And also Jason Driscoll was the quarterback, and that was the best play at the time. Now that we have a quarterback that can throw the ball around the field a little bit, he's going to pick the best play. He's not going to say, Motor's got to get his touches. Motor will get his touches, but it's not going to be, to sacrifice if throwing screens outside and jet sweeps and stuff like that. If we ran the entire game that way and we won, that's what Lane's going to keep doing,
And everything kind of builds off all those motions and stuff. Remember last year, we didn't really start developing those little play action, get it to the tight end screens until the running game started going. There was a couple times we ran that play where it worked, and there was a couple times where Air Force just kind of shut that play down. They knew it was coming. They probably saw it on film. They like to, play action hard and get it to his tight end out in the flat and have him turn up field. So, as our other threats kind of develop, Lane will be able to create things based off of that. It's kind of this Baylor option offense is, it's simple. It looks complicated with all the people, but you're doing a couple basic things. And as people kind of react to one thing, you're just creating more off of it.
You're setting stuff up. Other things.
Yeah, it's watch the best person in the area. You watch what Andy Reid does in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill. A lot of those plays look complicated and stuff, and they move people around, but they're really just jet sweeps and get people moving one way and send them the other. Yeah. And he's one of the best at creating them. Getting your athletes in space is just kind of the design. There's also just a couple feel things. I thought there was a play the first time we went down in the red zone where I think it was 1st and goal. I thought if there was a play where Robinson handed it to Motor, and I thought if he pulled the ball, he could have walked into the end zone. Like, they all kind of just bit on Motor and he handed it. And he might, that's a feel thing, comes with more experience, learning, even Driscoll got better through the year where he would just pull the ball and, Driscoll wasn't this great athletic quarterback and he'd walk in the end zone. I think, he might feel that more in a couple games and, will lead to more points.
Yeah. And then that will, like we're talking about, it's a chess game. One thing is going to lead to another. Then Motor will be able to get, some better runs because they're going to respect Robinson's legs more. That's going to open up, those quick passes to Harrison Bryant once safeties start to bite. He's only seen 3 receptions so far this year. So I think once Motor gets going, the running game gets going, Harrison Bryant's going to see some more opportunities to make plays. We already talked about it, but Jovan's that dude. He's just special talent. He really doesn't belong in Conference USA. He was at West Virginia for a reason. My boy Willie, Senior Shrug, that last touchdown he had was sick. Yeah, that was something special. Yeah. It'd been nice if that happened against, a little bit of better defense, more athletic defense. But
it was a great throw too.
Yeah, right there along the sideline, that move he made, that acceleration he had. that dive. It was gorgeous. And then
I thought the play of the game was the skinny post he cut over the middle. I got to see that because I was in the opposite end zone, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and you could almost see it from a film perspective, like point of view, and I'm going, there's three wide receivers. Willie was in the slot, and the safety was kind of leaning to one side, and still almost playing up. And I said, well, if a single person runs a skinny post, it's 6.
Right.
I thought they were going to give it to Javon. I thought because the safety tend to lean there, and he was on the single side, the near side of the field. But Chris kind of really ran a good route. Chris kind of like looked him out, and then he cut in, and it was, we didn't see that last year.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It was a really good play.
And Pico looked good too, man. We haven't really looked about Pico at all since 2016, I feel like. He looks solid. So I remember I was really concerned about the wide receivers going into the season. It's good to see what can happen when you have a quarterback that can throw in a tight window if he needs to, and how that can make the receivers look so much better.
Yeah. Motor and the O-line will come.
Yeah.
You think about think about Conference USA. Like, who in Conference USA is going to be able to stop all three? Pico, Durant, and Willie. Like, nobody's going to be able to stop all three. Not many teams in the country will be able to do that. And then also have to stop
Motor, Kareth White,
and tight end over the middle. Like,
right. Yeah.
All those guys are back next year too. Plus Kyle Davis, the Auburn transfer. I was talking about that with somebody, and I'm like, whoa. I don't want to talk about next year, but
yeah, let's get through this year.
Playing
another 10-year.
But it's kind of cool to think it's like the way, and we haven't thought about this with an FAU quarterback, where maybe we were so sure, and maybe we need a couple more games. You don't want to overact as much the other way and just see how he kind of grows, but you might have a quarterback for the next 4 years. This is his redshirt freshman year.
Yeah, freshman.
True freshman last year. So, yeah.
It could be.
Lane sticks around. How long is Lane? There's the joke about him having a quarterback competition every year. He hasn't been in situations where he's been able to bring someone back a couple years and really develop. So it's kind of exciting. You guys want to talk about the defense?
Yeah, for sure. It was. Go ahead, James.
Jalen's all right. That's my biggest concern. Jalen Young. Last time I heard, he was questionable. I know that's what the post-game conference Lane said about Jalen. He'll be questionable for Saturday against Bethune-Cookman.
What did he hurt, actually?
His hips.
Sprained knee.
Oh, knee? Oh, so, yeah, okay. It could be like hockey where we could say upper body or lower body, right?
Yeah, I saw him in the second half standing, a lot of the injured guys kind of stand on that north side there, and he was in just a tracksuit. And you could tell he was walking with a limp, but he wasn't in a boot or anything. He was just kind of walking with a limp. I think maybe the first thought is don't play this week.
Yeah,
right. I think you saw some, we were talking about before the podcast. I think just so much of what happened, or was the holding for Motor, or a lot of things, which is a lot of in the block punt, was just a lot of mental mistakes by FAU that kept Air Force in the game. So if that can be cleaned up, the first scoring drive before half with Air Force was started with a guy just not being covered.
Right. And then
I think that's right after Jalen Young got hurt. So you kind of are missing that like senior calling out, and no one just covered a guy. I think there was a little bit of confusion when Air Force started throwing the ball, and they went to that, especially in the second half, they went to that I formation, 3 wide receiver look, and they ran the triple option kind of out of a different look. And I think it took us a bit to adjust to it, but I thought they did. They tackled well, but, again, I said this before, Air Force isn't Navy when it comes to triple option. They just don't run it with the same efficiency.
Right.
Yeah. They got some good yards on the quick fullback dive, but then we were able to beat that later on. But that's when they started passing on us. Once Jalen got hurt. I want to know, when was the last time Air Force threw the ball 13 times or over a dozen times? They threw it, just like 6 times against Stony Brook? I'm just curious. I think that's a pretty high amount.
They were down in the game. The key is we were up.
Yeah. True.
13-0, and then they scored, and they get in that one possession game, and we scored right before half. So you keeping that 2 touchdowns on them. It's always like, and then it gets to the point where it's like, well, we can't go 9 minutes down the field. I mean, that's how you beat a triple option team. And I the last couple drives when we knew they were passing, it almost became comical because they were stopping it down. But there was the earlier drives, they were figuring it out, and they're like, I don't think they're not so much not prepared for it, but I think Air Force was throwing some stuff. O.C. Rose got beat on a play, and he committed the pass interference in the end zone. His head wasn't turned. I mean,
that was the only thing that.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about the call either. I tend to favor the defense on those calls, but he got beat and he got turned around. I think there was a little bit of confusion, but. They tackled well, they played well. It's really hard to tell though, because we're not seeing our traditional pass rush. They did get Charles Cameron got a sacked.
Yeah,
I mean, when we needed to, there was a pass rush. I mean, at the end of the game, and when we knew Navy was going to throw it, there was a definite pass rush. I think they held their own. Again, it's not something that we. I don't know. When's the next time we're going to see the triple option?
I don't know. Pat Chun scheduled one for every year for the next – we actually, in 2021, have a return trip to Air Force, which is like, hey, come play the triple option in high altitude.
Right, yeah.
Georgia Southern coming up, too.
Georgia Southern, right. They went away from it and goes back to it. And we're like, oh, yeah, we'll go up to Statesboro. I think he went out and looked for every single team that ran the triple option and said, let's schedule them. Someone wrote, I think they wrote an article where the lane was just like confused on some of our scheduling. I know somebody told me a funny story. When Lane first got here, I guess he was talking to a fan at one of the events, and someone's like, yeah, that Wyoming game up there killed me. The one where he fumbled at the end, and Lane goes, and someone was like, why would you schedule a trip to Laramie? It's a tough. It's so far away. It's a tough place to play. You know what I mean? Like, big schools go up there and are like, "Man, this is altitude. It's a tough environment. You're in the mountains." It's just
there a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's the game. Like, you don't schedule that. You're just saying, "Hey, take your South Florida team across the country and play in." I don't get it.
I just don't understand why we do 1-for-1s with Ball State and 1-for-1s with Buffalo.
Well, that came from it was a different scheduling philosophy. Instead of doing the 2-for-1s, Charlie Partridge wanted the FCS,
a winnable non-conference home game,
and more winnable. Yeah, because instead of doing maybe playing a money game like Ohio State and then maybe Virginia and then an FCS. Or someone else, they wanted the extra winnable one. You know what I mean? They wanted something. So we're playing kind of 2 of those winnable ones. You play a Buffalo and an Air Force. I mean,
Partridge was our head coach. We couldn't beat Buffalo. We outgained them.
So I mean,
yes, by 20 points.
I don't get the MAC schools. At this point, try and build excitement. But I think it's getting tougher to schedule those games. I think the recruiting thing. Oh, Virginia can come down here and recruit. I think. And then when you do all these 2-and-1s to get a bigger teams, you're trying to balance out, because then it's not even every year. Then you're trying to find games where you don't – if you're consistently doing 2-and-1s, you're consistently trying to find games to make up so you don't have a season where you have 5 home games. It's kind of difficult. Yeah. You got to kind of – it's tough. But, whatever the article was said Brian Wright and Lane Kiffin were on the same page scheduling wise.
Right.
I feel like we should play we should play a Florida school like once a year. Like we should play USF, UCF, even FAM and Bethune. I'm fine with those because they're going to
draw brings the band. They couldn't last year because it was the Hurricanes. So
they should be bringing their band.
Will they donate 50 band members to our school? Make it our band 57 members.
They said the largest band ever assembled, and I texted my friend who we were both in the marching band and said, "Look, we look like we have an actual college band now." And
I said that, a bunch of high schoolers. And then I'm like, "Wow, half the kids aren't playing." And I'm like, "Oh, it's probably high school kids they invited."
They were freaking middle school kids out there too.
Oh my god. But I don't know. Maybe that's their effort to try and recruit kids in the future. But
this apparently. So if we talk about marching band, not really breaking marching band news, but the band director that they brought in, I've yet to meet him. But apparently, like he was brought in because of how well he recruited at his previous school. I can't remember where it was. This could be the first year of this happening. Perhaps he could come in and realize I'd like to know what his philosophy is in recruiting. Maybe they threw money at the bands, which is when I was on the homecoming committee, we had like 10 local marching bands, and it's because student affairs they gave them like $500 to be in the homecoming parade and paid for their travel to FAU. So we had a huge homecoming parade because we had all those groups in there. Maybe that's what they did. There was a school from Yulee. Like Yulee, Florida is the most north you can get. North of Jacksonville before you get out of the state. Like there's Yulee, Florida is not coming down here for no reason. It's just so that they could march at FAU with Air Force. They got something.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Maybe it's a good time to maybe start talking about the game day experience. It being the first home game, going over the rain delay, the new 6-hour tailgate, new paradise pricing and concessions. What did you guys think about the game day environment, atmosphere, how everything worked overall?
I mean, I know they announced 24. I was a little disappointed. I mean, I thought the rain delay happened early enough where people were more tailgating, where they're just like, oh, we'll just kind of sit here and hang out in the parking lot a little longer. I mean, the student attendance was great. It would have been even a little better. I know like there's like a picture where there's a couple thousand students already in the stadium 30 minutes before kickoff, which seemed cool. And, I know a lot waited it out, but I wish more just the regular fans kind of waited it out. It seemed like a lot of people were like, ugh. But, other than that, for a 2:00 game in September against a team across the country, I thought it was pretty good. The paradise pricing, great. I got lots of beers in the stadium. Yeah. It was just easy, $10. Get you 2 Miller Lights and leave the guy a $2 tip, and they canned. It was just, I walked up and no problem. Nice. So,
yeah, I think had there only been like one lightning delay, I think people would have stuck around more. I think because it was just like 2 of them happened, like there were 2 delays, and then it people probably looked at their phone and
just poured for 30 minutes, but
yeah, and then they probably, we had. You made a good point that like a lot of the more diehard fans, which now there are more of them. There's certainly more of them that stuck around than in previous years. But that kind of fringe person that was already like looking for a reason to leave. You say, oh, okay, well, it's been 20, 25 minutes. It's probably going to get hot after this, which it didn't, fortunately. Go home and watch the game on Facebook or go home and just get out of the stadium. But I mean, it was nice. It probably for a 3:30 p.m. start in early September was probably the most comfortable that I've ever been. And I was sitting in the end zone where the students used to sit. So the sun was out, but but I wasn't like roasting. Like, I mean, there's been games where people like you just sit there like a freaking hot dog and just roast in the sun. It was nice that it was cool enough, especially on the shaded side of the stadium. It probably was. I wasn't over there, but I imagine it was like perfect.
It seemed like nice weather. The rain definitely put a damper on everything. I noticed that some people in student affairs were closing down the student tailgates, the Greek life tailgates, right after the lightning delay began. They had no clue that the lightning delay began. But they're going to each tailgate, they're telling them shut it down, no more music, pack everything down at like 1:15, 1:20. So when I could see a lot of students thinking, oh, I guess we're all going to head into the stadium. Let's head in there. They realize, oh, it's not going to start another like hour and a half. Let's just go home. Screw it. It's going to be hot. Let's walk to IVA. Let's walk to Parliament, whatever, back to our dorm in the air conditioning and get ready for going out for tonight. Thankfully, it didn't seem like that was the case. It should have been a bigger student section. It was still a decent size. I thought it was really cool that
it was 75% full. I think also people forget that like it sometimes at the top will look empty, but people like it's like more expanded attendance. That like a couple hundred students just stand in that first row or that first row.
Yeah.
That front row is supposed to be, it was originally supposed to be like a handicap only row. And then when the student section moved over there, it became like a party row, basically. We need to find a sport. You know how like UNLV at their basketball arena, that courtside seats is Gucci row. We got to think of, I don't know, just drunk row, because you have like 3 rows of students standing up, just getting annihilated while screaming at the other team anytime they get near, making noise, pounding their hands on the mats in front of them to make more noise. And that's I would say a couple hundred fans right there, a couple hundred students.
Yeah, I thought there was probably definitely just over 3,000 students there. I mean,
which is fine. I think
a year ago we wouldn't have had we had a rain delay, the students would have been gone. So at least there was a student presence even after the rain delay. Even after halftime, there was.
And there was still really good. Yeah, no, I thought the whole game, I thought it was one of the better ones. It just, it just does seem like every time FU is going to put that huge game together, huge crowd, everything's go well, fun opponent, there's always something.
Yeah.
There probably would have been, they said they sold 24. If it didn't rain, there probably would have been 20,000 butts in the seat there, give or take a little bit. It would have been a great atmosphere. It just, it's just like you're there to having that one game. It's like, wow, I'm definitely going to come back. Yeah. And there's always just something, you know what I mean? That's,
for the day for everything to go right.
Yes. It never seems to happen.
Well, hopefully, I mean, this week, so we'll kind of transition and just, I don't have too much to say about Bethune. Again, it's a game that we should win easily. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure Bethune is bringing their band, which that's always entertaining. So there should be another good crowd. I mean, it should be, might not be 24,000, but we should probably expect.
There was a good crowd for Bethune last year, and that was after the hurricane.
Yeah.
There was like maybe 19,000. There was like a 17,000. I was shocked. I was expecting to walk in. I know the storm just hit. People were going to drive down. No band. I was expecting to walk in and see like – I remember they had to move the tailgating to one side because all the FPL trucks.
Right.
It felt like one of those. I was expecting to walk in and see the 5,000 like diehard Owl fans and no one else. Yeah. I'm like, wow, this is not a bad crowd tonight. I know they gave a bunch of tickets away to like all the high school football.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah, for that game, but and the weather's supposed to be really nice this Saturday. So, and it's perfect kickoff time, 6:00, and there's no other big teams in the state of Florida really going up against it.
The students were like campus was closed, like school was closed that weekend, wasn't it? After Irma, so even students were gone. There was still a decent number. Now everyone's going to be in town. Weather's going to be nice. Bethune-Cookman probably has one of the best. FCS, HBCU followings in the entire Southeast, the entire country.
They have a lot of people from South Florida, lots of family members and stuff like that. Lots of alumni are going to be there. So
exactly.
It should be a good atmosphere.
It should be fun, good atmosphere. Dude, I really hope the band makes it because that band is something else. I mean, I don't mean any disrespect either when I say we should win easily. Because I have a lot of respect for Bethune-Cookman as a university, with their culture and everything. But dude,
shouldn't have let go Brian Jenkins 2 years ago. That's what I said. They had a good coach, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out. I remember I was beating the drum for FAU to look at him.
Yeah.
And he went to I went to Alabama State, I believe, and they had some really. They were, Bethune's a good FCS school. I mean, they're they've had some good seasons, especially when Brian Jenkins was there.
Yeah.
Well, we beat them by what last year? I don't remember, guys. 30?
45-0. It was the first shutout at home.
Yeah.
Ever. If you're not counting Western Kentucky shutting us out in the stadium opener, right?
And what I do remember was, despite winning, Daniel Park still struggling to throw the ball in that game.
Yeah, dude. He had what?
Like 130 yards passing or something like that.
Yeah.
Because then the week after that was Buffalo, and that's when we inserted Driscoll in.
Yeah, I think that was like Lane's like, okay, if you're not going to throw for 320 this week, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
Jack, you want to – we're just briefly, we're going to talk about Conference USA. We'll probably, when we get into Conference USA season or Conference USA play, we'll hopefully have some guests on the show from other Conference USA message boards and podcasts and stuff like that. But we figured we'd talk a little bit about it because this, outside of what Marshall and UNT – Conference USA was a freaking dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire, dude. The whole conference is a dumpster fire. UAB lost soundly to Coastal.
I've been saying that Clark is an overrated coach.
Dude, get out of here.
2 years now. I've been banging that drum. He's so overrated. His 1 year, he went 6-6 there, and they lose the program, and he sticks, and everyone plays the violin. And I'm like, well, he's a mediocre coach. And he's like, well, they stuck there. He stood with them. He's so great. He has one win versus a team that finished season with a winning record. Okay? One.
And they did lose to Charlotte last year at home.
Yeah, and then Ohio pulled their pants down and exposed them last year at a bowl game. And I watched that game. I said, this is one of the most poorly coached things I've ever seen. You could just tell. I think he's overrated.
I don't think he's overrated.
No, I think people pity him because he's stuck with the program. Don't, Jack. I know love your Conference USA love message board. He's not. He's a mediocre football coach, and so is Stockstill, and so is Skip Holtz, and that's why they're. I'm like, if you're coaching in this league for a long time, you're mediocre.
I mean, I'll agree, dude. I mean, I live a mile away from USF now. Like, I'll agree with Skip Holtz, even though he didn't turn the program around. He's righted the ship there. I think they're doing fine. When they lost Kenneth Dixon, they're doing fine. Stockstills, I mean, how many times are we going to say he's on the hot seat until Middle finally pulls the plug?
Well, I think once his son leaves.
Once Brent Stockstill, I mean,
it's after this year. I think if they go 6-6 again, he's done.
He got a medical waiver last year or 2 years ago, I want to say.
No, you're thinking of Dottie. No, I think Stockstill's done after this year. He played too many games last year to get a medical waiver.
He got hurt. What, the fourth game of the year? I don't remember. We're an FAU podcast, not a metal, but I mean, Charlotte is hosting Old Dominion. Old Dominion's favored by 1.5. Like, FIU came back to beat them in Norfolk last week.
Yeah, but that was a game. I mean, you're just talking about an Old Dominion team that got scrapped by Liberty. FIU's probably their least
40. I think the only interesting game is going to be North Texas against Arkansas up in Fayetteville. We'll see. Shane was talking about it earlier. He thinks that the North Texas line is going to be manhandled. Yeah, they got some big hogs, no pun intended, up in Arkansas. But I feel like their athleticism, they can match them easily. I know what you guys think.
I don't really disagree. I completely disagree. I think you guys get all with these skill players, and in the end, Mason Fine's still like 5'9", $160. Like,
but it's like, what did Troy have over LSU? Is Troy one of the best teams in the trenches?
Yeah, but Troy has LSU also has this common thing, which you're going to see this weekend, where they're poorly coached. Like, I think a lot of times in college football, when you're dealing with young players, 75% of the time, just go with the better coached team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, I just go with the better coach team.
I mean, Coach O over in Baton Rouge, he's got some issues.
Yes.
I'm bummed about Marshall at USC over in Columbia or South Carolina. I think Marshall could have made
Will Muschamp, another poor coach who never got another head coaching job. I'm sorry. Can't find a good offense in 6 years with 9 different coordinators. You shouldn't be getting another chance at the SEC.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to have anyone in Florida.
He's got spirit, though.
Oh, my God. It's just they could have hired, and it would have been a great hire, Conference USA. South Carolina could have hired, now I'm just having a mind blank, what's his name, who went to Purdue from Western Kentucky. I'm having that would have been a great hire. You get like an offensive mind, and because you can find a lot of people that can coach a bunch of SEC 4-star defensive players. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
I mean,
dude, if Hugh Freeze could do it in Ole Miss, right?
Yeah. I mean, Hugh Freeze was creative, and they put up high school ranks. Same thing with Gus Malzahn. Like, I just think schools aren't creative with their coaching hires sometimes. Yeah. And I even give credit for West Kentucky taking a chance on Mike White, even though he wasn't ready. I don't think you take a guy who doesn't call plays. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think as a head coach, we're getting a little off topic here, but I think yes, you got to have the motivator and the recruiting. But I think to be a great head coach, you got to have like also one thing you're extraordinarily talented at, X's and O's wise.
Yeah.
You have to bring that too. I don't get it sometimes.
Do you think North Texas has that X's and O's?
Yes. I think Matt Latrell's a good coach, but I think Texas high school football players in generally are vastly overrated.
Oh, hot takes. I love it.
No, it's not. Okay.
No, I agree with you.
It's not even a hot take because, I mean, if you look at their per capita recruitment rates, it's half the state of Florida and Georgia. And, I mean, let's look at all the schools there, right? Let's look at their big three, Texas A&M, and Tech. They've been to one national title in the last 35 years between and then compare our big three to that. So, right. In Alabama gets our players and stuff. I know they produce a lot of quarterbacks and stuff, and I have a whole theory why I think Texas players are overrated. I think all the nice facilities and coaching and watching film and playing in $62 million stadiums is all great, but you look at some of those schools and it's like, wow, Katy, Texas, high school. And I'm like, man, their third best players in SMU commit. Miami has, there's schools in Miami that don't have a practice field where like their backup safety is going to Southern Miss. I'm going
to agree. Like, I think that especially when it comes to our athletes, the state of Florida has the best athletes in the country, bar none. I want more high schools like STA, Plant, Armwood, Lakeland, Dr. Phillips to be going across the country and showing the type of athletes that we have. It's not even including MIG. MIG, obviously they pull from across the country, but they're coming to Florida, most of their players are going to be from Florida. Let's send them to Texas. Let's send them to Cali, Ohio, Georgia. And I love those early games.
Georgia's better than Texas in high school football. Way better. Not even close at this point.
Can we do like a poll on Twitter?
No, it's not. I'm not. We're not that tight. It's not. It's just overrated. I don't care how big your stadium is, and I don't care how half the town goes to it. If your second best player on the team is a Baylor commit, congrats. I think I looked up one of their schools.
Pre-eyebrows or post-eyebrows?
So back to our point, though, I don't think North Texas can recruit the athletes. I just don't think they're deep enough. Yeah, they have all these skill position players, and they look good, and they have offense, and they've been running this since they were 9 years old in Texas. But when they go play someone physical and they just got to run and cover with somebody, they give up 60 points. We saw that last year. Right? They don't have the DBs. When it comes, who are you going to take? You're going to take the kid from Florida who's just been playing man. It's just different how kids grow up down here and their attitudes. And I just don't think North Texas has. I don't think they're gonna have the defense. I don't think they're gonna have the guys up front still.
We'll see, man. We'll see. The spread is 7. It's in Fayetteville, so you would say if it was neutral site, it'd be 4 around there, 3 or 4. We'll see how it goes.
Arkansas is not a good football team.
No, not at all.
They might go 3-9 this year.
I think Western's going to get curb stomped by Louisville. I think Middle Tennessee is getting curb stomped by Georgia. I'm hoping UTSA covers in the Little Apple at Kansas State. I think it lines like 21.5. An interesting one is UMass FIU. We'll see how that goes. I don't know who to root for. Do we root for our rivals because we really need Conference USA to win a game, even though UMass –
No, you would never. Really? Does Conference USA rebound with an FIU victory over 1 and 2? Like, are we going, wow, the conference is like, it's not going to change our national perception, so I just want FIU to get beaten. And I enjoy watching Pete Garcia sign a contract extension there. And then he can just continue to pay Butch Jones to be,
Davis.
Couple million. Yep, Butch, same. They're the same person in my eyes.
Same thing.
Continue to pay Butch Davis his retirement job, where you can just make a couple million a year. So you can go 6-6 in Conference USA.
Right. Yikes. We'll see, man. I just don't know who to root for because I think the conference now is desperate enough where we could put FIU, the 3rd or 4th best team in our division in the East. That could be a banner right now if they beat 1 and 2 UMass because everything's
nothing's going to change.
It won't change anything.
Well, nothing's going to change perception, but
change perceptions for like you and 4 other Conference USA guys on Twitter, Jack. It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't care about everyone else. I care about me and the 4 other Conference USA fans.
Well, I would say like if they lose, if they lose, it's just going to be like that. Yeah, that's what we expected. If they win, it's going to be like, well, yeah, they were supposed to win.
No, I want them to like. I was on a stance where I thought Butch Davis was way more overrated of a hire. I thought he won with a lot of talent at couldn't get it done. Let's remember, he was a Florida State wide right 3 away from losing 2 games with the most talented roster in college football history. Okay, and then he goes to North Carolina and doesn't win the ACC. Doesn't go to 1 ACC title game. Yeah. And let's remember what the ACC looked like.
It was bad.
Wake Forest went to an Orange Bowl. It was the end of Bobby Bowden, and it was Randy Shannon So he had a really I remember it's when they played the ACC title game in Jacksonville. There was like a Wake Forest Georgia Tech year. So you had in what he was going, he was winning 7. He was winning 7 and 8 games in a ACC. This was pre-Dabo Sweeney and Clemson. So, I mean, we were talking – this was a garbage ACC, and he was average there. And he's going to be average at FIU.
6 to 7 games a year.
Congrats.
Dude, that's pretty good.
I think we're going to beat him by 4 touchdowns.
Oh, talk dirty. I love it.
And there'll be 4 lightning delays as well.
That's a tradition. One quick thing. Are you guys worried – that UCF now has an extra week to prepare for?
I've gone back and forth in my head in that.
Right.
I just think
I felt like
not like complicated to prepare for.
I feel like North Carolina actually had that game circled on.
I think the teams, and just to get matched up to each other, should peek into next week, because I know Jackson wanted to talk about this game. I think the teams match up with each other. You're not going to be able to run a bunch of fly sweeps against UCF because they can match our speed.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
But Mackenzie Milton likes to sling the ball around, and he turns it over. He do 3 interceptions. So if you get that Mackenzie Miller, you have a chance. But that's what you need, because unless Mackenzie Miller goes out there and throws 3 picks, but he's also done it right. He threw 3 picks against USF, and they managed to put up 42 points in that game. So, and Trey Flowers had one of the best college performance ever in history. So you're asking for a performance like that, turnovers, for just us to be in it.
Dude, I just want Milton to throw a pick directly to Jalen Young, and
I think you guys. I'm telling you right now, Do not get your hopes up for that game.
Dude, I'm trying not to. I just love to talk crap, and I'm just hyped.
Don't.
I'll worry about it next week.
Yeah, worry about next week. Don't talk crap.
All right. Don't talk crap for you fans.
There's way more chance we're going to get steamrolled in that game, and that's what I think.
We go from thinking that everything is on fire, at least not us three, but FAU fans, our nation thinks that everything is ruined after Oklahoma, to now Jack, me thinking, you guys got to reel me in from talking crap to UCF because maybe I have my expectations too high. I don't know. I've been waiting for that game for a long time, guys.
I think a lot of us are, but we'll worry about it next week and the week after.
All right, dude. Lane tweeted out today all the FCS wins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lane tweeted it. With the little rat on the doing the bench press with the trap. And he tweeted out every team.
Right.
At the school tagged him like Northern Arizona over UTEP. So
did he tag Western Kentucky by any chance?
Yeah, I don't know. The goal is Motor is hanging out with me in the second half.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, we ran along a little bit there, but we have a lot to talk about, and we got some marching band news in there. We got some coaching news, some conference USA talk. So, I think that will about do it for us. And thank you guys for sticking with us. Again, I'm still trying to get the show on iTunes. If anybody wants to help us out getting the show on iTunes and get it posted other places, that would be greatly appreciated, as all three of us work full time and kind of have to focus. We can't always get everything set up there. So if you would like to help us out, shoot me a message on Twitter. Shoot any one of us a message on Twitter, and that would be awesome. So more people could hear this in their ear holes. So for Jack and Shane, we thank you guys for being with us, and we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, celebrating FAU going 2-1. So we'll see you next week, and go Owls.
Let's do it.